And good morning, good afternoon. It's Monday, whatever time zone you happen to be in. Welcome to the show. You're in the sports wagering zone, and we're here in Charlotte, North Carolina, coming to you live on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network, as well as most of your podcast platforms. You might be listening on Apple Podcasts or perhaps Spotify or Spreaker or maybe even a Google Podcast. So anyway, no matter how you're listening to us, welcome to the show. We definitely appreciate you listening to the show. I hope you had a great weekend for you fathers and dads out there. I hope you had a very pleasant, happy Father's Day. And if you did any betting yesterday, I hope you had a profitable day as well. So I'm Chris Pardo. Thank you for listening. Welcome to the Sports Wagering Zone. We're right here, like I said, right here in Charlotte, North Carolina, coming to you live all the time, Monday through Friday, 12 noon Eastern Time, Saturdays and Sundays, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So today we're going to talk about baseball because there's no basketball going on today. The playoffs kind of take a day break. They'll be back with the Western and the Eastern Conference finals. Then after that, we'll go into the big game as to find out who it is that's going to be the new champion this year, because there will be a new one. The two big guys who are supposed to be in the finals, the Lakers and the New York Nets or the Brooklyn Nets, they're out of it totally. So it's wide open. The numbers are out there. You can get some good numbers if you want to bet on these teams ahead of time to who's going to win the playoffs, especially the Hawks. We were talking about in the past couple of days, and at the number they were at, they were worth a slight wager to kind of take a look at. Stranger things have happened. More than likely, it won't happen, but you never know. You take a shot. With those kind of odds, you don't have to bet as much money and still come out ahead as well. So that's the story there. We're also going to be talking about 3 baseball games on tap for today. The Indians against the Cubs, the Cincinnati Reds against the Minnesota Twins, and of course, the Brooklyn, or the former Brooklyn Dodgers, now the LA Dodgers, playing the San Diego Padres. Those are the 3 games we're going to take a up close look at and see where the line movement is going and try to determine which direction the pros are going as well. We're also going to take a look at streaks. We were talking about streaks last week. We talked about it this weekend as well. As part of the show, we're going to start looking at streaks, and we'll go into more detail about that when we get to that segment of the show, but kind of bring you up to date as what streaks look like they may be available to bet on now and how the streaks worked out for yesterday as well. So as usual, if you've listened to the show before, you know we go and talk about things that happened yesterday as far as sports betting is concerned, try to bring you up to date as to how the underdogs did against the favorites, how the home teams did against the road teams, things of that nature, things that are really important that you should think about and incorporate into whatever type of system you happen to be using. So let's take a look and see what happened in the National Hockey League, for instance. The Golden Knights, a minus 175 on the money line. They rallied to beat the Canadiens 2-1. That evened out their semifinal series at 2-2. Now the favorites and the dogs are now tied 4-4 in this round so far. But overall, from the beginning of the tournament till now, the favorites still lead 38-33. The home and road teams also are tied at 4-4 so far for this series right now, and the home teams only lead 38-36. The unders are 4-1 in this round, and they're 38-32, which is well over 54% over the entire series. So in the National Hockey League, you had the Golden Knights beating the Canadiens. That's the one game that was up for yesterday. No hockey tonight either. Now, in the NBA, the Hawks, talking about them Atlanta Hawks down there, 7-point dogs, plus 240 on the money line upset those 76ers 103-96 in their final game. One and done, as they say. The unders came in as the under at 216, and the favorites in this series so far finished 13-11 straight up, but the dogs lead as far as betting is concerned 12-11 against the spread in this second round. The home teams led 15-9 straight up and 13-10 against the spread in this round. The unders were 14-9 in this round, and that's the story with them as well. Now, the Suns, a 4-point favorite, covered in their 120-114 win against the Clippers in game one of the Western Conference final matchup. The over 219.5 was hit. The favorites are now 44-24 straight up, 40-27 against the spread, which is just a smidgen under 60%, to be exact, 59.7 overall in the playoffs so far. The home teams are 38-30 straight up, but they're 36-31 against the spread, which is almost at 54% overall. The overs and the unders are tied for the entire series at 33-33. Meanwhile, in Major League Baseball, the favorites went 11-5, but there were some upsets because the Cardinals at a plus 100 beat the Braves in game one of their doubleheader. The Royals is a plus 121 on the money line against the Red Sox. The Tigers plus 143 beat the Angels. The Mariners at plus 143 beat the Rays. And the Indians at a plus 120 beat the Pirates. The favorites still lead 597-433, which is right at 58%. The unders went 9-7, but the overs still lead 523-505. So that's Major League Baseball, the NBA, National Hockey League. Like I said, no games in the Hockey League or into the NBA for tonight. So baseball is going to be the center of attraction. If you don't bet baseball, you don't care about betting on baseball, perhaps you can take some time now to start looking at your upcoming NFL and college football schedule, because it won't be long. Camps will be opening up full time real soon. You're going to have the pregame, the preseason games coming up. So before you know it, it's going to be upon us. So it's a good idea to start looking at some of those over-unders for those first week of the series, and also taking a look at your game totals as well. Of course, we still don't know where Mr. Rogers is going, and Deshaun Watson, they're still where they're supposed to be with the Packers and with Houston. That can change at almost any time. We'll keep an eye on that. So those are two teams that you might want to take a look at and kind of, really look at it real close, because if a team if Rodgers leaves Green Bay, there's no doubt their numbers are going to go down. And if he goes to Denver, like they're saying, he'll be having that team's numbers going in the upward direction. So good idea to kind of keep an eye on it, see what you hear about it, act accordingly as well. So that's the story for what happened yesterday. Well, we're going to take our first break, and when we do come back, we're going to look at three baseball games for tonight. Like we said, the Cleveland Indians against the Chicago Cubs, the Cincinnati Reds against the Twins, the Los Angeles Dodgers against the Padres. Those are the three games. We're going to see how the line movement is going, try to determine which direction the pros are going as well. So let's get that first break out of the way. And if you've listened to the show before, we take three breaks. Each one is of about a 1 minute duration. So we'll be back right after this. And welcome back. Welcome back to the Sports Wagering Zone. You're in the zone. We're in Charlotte, North Carolina, coming to you live on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network, as well as on most of your major podcast platforms as well. So, like I said, there's no basketball or hockey on tap for tonight. It's only 8 major league games as far as any type of betting is concerned. So let's get right down to 3 games that are on tap for tonight. And we're going to see in which direction the line movement is going and which way the pros may be going as well. To begin with, around 8 o'clock, you have the Cleveland Indians, who are 39-30 so far this season, against the Chicago Cubs, 40-32. Two teams pretty well matched. The Indians looking to come back after dropping 2 out of 3 to the Pirates, who were on that big, long losing streak, finally busted out. Similarly, the Cubs, they just lost 2 or 3 to the Marlins, and they're just 2-5 over their last 7 games. Now, in tonight's game, which is a series opener, the Indians come back with Aaron Chevalier. He's 10-2 so far this season with a 3.48 ERA. Now, the Cubs, they'll come back with their right-hander, Adbert Alzolay. He's 4-5 this season with a 4.06 ERA. So, as we look at the line in this game, it opened with Chicago, a minus 145 home favorite, and Cleveland as a plus 130 road dog. Now, the public says, let's have the Cubs. They're going to bet the Cubs. They love the Cubs. They're a moderate home favorite. So the fans, as far as the general public are concerned, they're on the Chicago Cubs. But Chicago has dipped slightly from that minus 145, dropped down to 140 recently. What this means is there's some action coming in by the pros on Cleveland, taking that plus money, and because of the wagers they made, it went from being a plus 130 at the open down to plus 125 on the money line as of late. The Tribe are 24-16 against right-handed pitching this year. The Cubs are just 27-26, almost 50-50 against the righties. Now, interleague teams that have a line move in their favor are at 59% this season. Remember that. Interleague teams with the line in their favor are at 59% this season. And of course, the Cleveland Indians do fall into that category. So not only the pros, but also the analytics seem to be pointing to the Cleveland Indians. Also around 8 o'clock, you have the Cincinnati Reds. They're at 500, playing 35-35. The Minnesota Twins are at 30-41. Now, this is an interleague game, and these two teams, just by looking at their records, are trending in opposite directions. The Reds have lost 4 straight, and they just got swept by the Padres. Meanwhile, the Twins have won 4 straight and just swept the Rangers in tonight's series opener. The Reds are going to come out with Tyler Mahle to pitch in this game. So the Twins have won 4 straight, and they just swept the Rangers. Now, for tonight's game, the Reds are going to be pitching Tyler Mahle, who's 7-2 with a 3.39 ERA. The Twins, counting with their veteran left-hander, J.A. Happ, he's 3-3 this season with a 6.12 ERA. Now, as we look at the line in this game, it opened with Cincinnati, a minus 130 road favorite. Minnesota opened as a plus 120 home dog. Now, according to the public, they see that this is a layup with the Reds. They have a better record. They have a great pitching advantage in this game. On paper, they look like the team to bet. However, again, despite all this action, all this betting that's going on that we've seen on Cincinnati, we've seen the number drop from minus 130 at the open down to 117, a minus 117 on the money line. Now, what this means is it's called a reverse line movement on the Twins. They're going from a plus 120 down to a plus 107. So, non division home teams that get 10 cents of steam or more are at 65% this season. The Twins come into that category. Now, interleague home teams with a line move in their favor are at 63% so far this season. Now, we can also be looking at a much higher scoring game in this game as well. The total's at 9.5 at the open, with some books juicing it over up to minus 115. Now, these are two of the best over teams in baseball. The Reds are at 41-26 to the over. The Twins are 43-24 to the over. So you can see both these teams are very good to the over in their situations, which means they score a lot of runs. Now, the forecast, as far as the weather is concerned, you're looking at temperatures in the mid 60s, 5 to 10 mile per hour winds, and it's blowing out to right center field. So that's probably one of the reasons why the number has gone up the way it has. So in this game between the Reds and the Twins, the general public, they're on the Cincinnati Reds. The pros and the analytics are on the Minnesota Twins. So let's take a break, and when we come back, we have one more game to take a look at. You got the Dodgers against the Padres. That's around 10 o'clock Eastern time. So that's the story on the first two games. We'll go over them again before this show is over, just in case you missed it. We'll talk about them as well. And of course, we're also going to be talking about trends and streaks, things of that nature as well. So let's take that second break. And when we come back, we'll take a look at the Dodgers-Padres game and a little more baseball talk as well. So we'll be back into the zone right after this. And welcome back. Welcome back to the Sports Wagering Zone. I'm Chris Pardo. Thank you very much for listening. Coming to you live from Charlotte, North Carolina on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network. Let's take a look at those baseball games on tap for tonight once again. As far as the pros are concerned and the line movement and the analytics, the first game we talked about around 8 o'clock, the Cleveland Indians and the Chicago Cubs. The pros are on the Indians. The general public is on the Cubs. The analytics point to Cleveland as well. Also around 8 o'clock, you have the Cincinnati Reds and the Minnesota Twins. This game, once again, the general public is on the Cincinnati Reds. The pros and the analytics on the underdog in this one as well, the Minnesota Twins. So the first two games we looked at, the Indians and the Twins both underdogs in those games. Those are the choices of the pros. Meanwhile, there's one more game to look at, and that's around 10 o'clock or so Eastern time. You got the Los Angeles Dodgers, 44-27, against the San Diego Padres, 42-32. Now, both of these National League West teams come into this crucial divisional series, and they're both as hot as can be. The Dodgers just swept the Diamondbacks, so of course, who hasn't, okay? And they're now 10-2 over their last 12 games, 10-2. On the other side, the Padres just swept the Reds in a 4-game series. So tonight's series opener finishes a real great pitching matchup. You got the Dodgers coming in with their left-hander, Julio Urias. He's 9-2. Urias, okay, 9-2, 3.54 ERA. And the Padres send their ace, Yu Darvish, who's 6-2 with a 2.57 ERA. So with these two pitchers going, taking a look at the line, it opened with San Diego as a minus 125 as a home favorite. Los Angeles is a plus 115 road dog. Now, the pros have pounced on the red-hot Dodgers, taking the plus money, the underdog in this game as well. It dropped Los Angeles from being a plus 115 down to a plus 107 on the money line. The Dodgers have value in this game because they're a dog that's coming off of a win, and they're a road divisional dog with the line move in their favor. So the analytics point to the Dodgers as well. The total opened at about 6.5, which is kind of low, and the over is juiced to minus 120, which means that there's some low total liability in this particular game. The Dodgers are 37-32 to the over. The Padres are 38-34 to the over. Now, one big injury you got to take a look at, and that's with San Diego's shortstop, Fernando Tatis Jr. He's questionable with a shoulder injury for this game for tonight. So once again, in this game, as far as the analytics and as far as the pros are concerned, they like the Los Angeles Dodgers over the San Diego Padres. So taking 3 dogs today in the first game, the Indians against the Cubs, pros and the analytics on the Indians and the dog. The Reds against the Twins, the pros are on the Twins as well as the analytics. And finally, the 10 o'clock game, the Dodgers against the Padres, the pros and the analytics also point to the underdog on this game, the Los Angeles Dodgers. So that's a roundup of the 3 games that are on tap for tonight. Now, as far as this little method system, whatever you want to call it, okay, is going so far. Yesterday, we had 3 plays. We had 2 winners and 1 loser. So we lost with the Mets and Washington. We had the Mets in this game. Washington did win the game. Toronto against Baltimore. We had Toronto in that game, which was a winner. And in the Oakland Yankees game, we had the New York Yankees, and the Yankees won that game as well. So yesterday we were 2-1. We had 3 plays. The day before that, just to give you an idea, we had 2 plays. Both games were losers, by the way. The day before that, we split 50-50, 1 winner, 1 loser. And before that, 1 winner, 1 loser. Kind of give you an idea of how the trend has been going. Overall, though, over the entire season so far, we're at 54% on the plus side. So that's the way that little method has been doing. And that's the story for those 3 games for tonight. Give you a little roundup on this little system, method. You know, some people call it that, whatever it is. Well, all we're doing is trying to watch the line movement. By watching the line movement, it helps you determine in which direction the pros are going, and we've been going with those numbers throughout the season. And I said we're doing it over 54% as a win total so far this season. Now let's take a quick look at basketball. We've got a quick note here. There are updated odds for the NBA title game coming in from BetMGM. So right now, the Bucks on top with a plus 110 on the money line. The Suns are a plus 170 to win the title. The Clippers at plus 700 to win the title. And the Hawks at plus 1100 to win the title. These are the numbers that are out of BetMGM. So that's the story there. Now, one other note, which might be of interest to you, if you're looking at betting the game totals, the futures market, as far as the NFL is concerned, a story came out this morning, just more information coming out that Rodgers has re-upped. In other words, he re-signed with the country club, the golf club that he belongs to. So what does that mean? Well, on the surface, it kind of looks like, well, maybe he's going to stay. But, there's going to be all this type of information coming out from now on until the camps open up. And as far as the first games in the playoffs, in the series, in the season opens up. So you're going to be seeing these kind of things coming out all over the place. The latest thing right now, like I said, Rodgers has re-signed. He re-upped. Kept staying with the same country club, same golf club that he was with all along. So it kind of looks on the surface, if you look at it one way, is that he more than likely looks like he may be staying with Green Bay. But again, we'll see what happens. So that's the story. Try to keep you up to date on little stuff like that. What effect it has, it all depends on how you look at it. But anyway, that's the latest news. So we're going to take our final break. And when we come back, we're going to take a look at and see how the winners and losers as far as streaks are concerned. We're going to take a quick look and see how they turned out yesterday with the ones we talked about yesterday, and talk about a couple that are on tap for tonight as well. So let's get that third break out of the way. When we come back, we'll be talking about streaks. And welcome back. Welcome back to the Sports Wagering Zone, coming to you live from Charlotte, North Carolina, right here on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network, as well as most of your major podcast platforms, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I can go on and on. There's quite a few of them out there that do carry the show. Also on milehighradio.com out there in the Colorado area as well. So we talked about the three games that are on tap for today. Indians and Cubs, Reds and Twins, Dodgers and the Padres. But as far as the streaks are concerned, we started talking about streaks last week. We got some emails from some guys wanting us to take a more closer look into it, trying to keep you up to date as how some of the streaks are going, different ways that you can look at it. And so that's what we're going to be doing for a while. We're going to try to implement this as part of the show. We'll see how it works out. If there's enough interest out there, we'll kind of keep it going. If not, then whoever is interested in dealing with streaks, you're going to have to deal with these stats on your own, on your free time. So taking a look at yesterday, keeping in mind there are streaks, and it all depends on what you think a streak is. Now, here at this zone, we kind of look at 6 being the number. anything up to 6, whether they lose 6 games or win 6 games, start to get our attention to take a look at them to see as to whether or not we want to bet on either side of it. Now, of course, once again, it's up to you to decide what you think a streak is. You may not think 6 is enough games to take a look at. You may think 10 is a better number, or 8, or something of that nature. So we're leaving the total up to you as to what you think a streak is. The numbers we're going to be talking about are numbers based on a streak number of 6. So yesterday, there were a few games that were kind of fit into this type of category. In addition to streaks, there's what we call the stagger theory, the swagger theory. Okay. By swagger means that when a team is on a losing streak and they finally win, like the Pirates are on that long losing streak, they finally came in and they won. According to the swagger theory, they will win their next game as well most of the time. Again, like anything else, it's not 100%. It worked that way with the Pirates. When they came back to the second game, to the first game after they won, they came back and they won that game as well. And generally, they do win 2 afterwards. But of course, that didn't work out because the Pirates lost yesterday. So if you were betting on the Pirates to win yesterday, because of the swagger theory, you would have been a loser in that situation because Pittsburgh did lose the game. Now, also looking at Washington as well. Washington was also in the swagger situation because they came off a big losing streak, a big winning streak. They wound up losing, okay, and then they came back to see if they were going to win the following game. So as far as they were concerned, they played the Mets. They did win that game. So they did win in the swagger situation. Now, there are 2 other games that are on tap for today. You got Baltimore against Houston. Houston is now a 7.7 games that they have won in a row. They've won 7 games in a row. So at this point in time, you can look at them and you can even bet on them to, if you think they've gone too far, you want to bet them to lose today, or you think they're in a good streak, so you want to bet them on the upside, you can do that as well. But here's the thing. If you do bet them on the upside, you think they're going to win their 8th game, and they don't, you lose that one game, and it's all over. But if you stay with the losing side, if you think they're going to lose and they wind up winning, okay, you're still going to be staying on that situation. Meanwhile, the A's and Texas is now starting. They got their 6th loss yesterday, so they playing against the A's, so they're right on the cusp there of 6 losses in a row. Meanwhile, Arizona, they continue on. They're at 17 losses so far in a row. They take on Milwaukee in this game today. So again, do you think it's gone 17? Think that's enough? You think they might win? Or, hey, they're in a real tailspin. I'm going to take them on the downside. So it's up to you to decide which way to go. We're going to point out these games to you. But again, we leave it up to you to decide. Because if you think that 6 is not the right number as far as you're concerned, you want to wait for 8 or 10 or whatever it is you're looking for, we'll keep you up to date each day as to how the highest one's going. Once the team hits 6, we're going to tell you about it. And we're going to keep a record of it, to let you know how it's going. But we'll try that for a while. We'll see how it works. And we'll kind of take it from there. In the meantime, once again, before we say goodbye, let's take a look at the 3 games that are on tap for tonight as far as baseball is concerned. The Cleveland Indians and the Chicago Cubs, they're at 8 o'clock. In this game, the pros are on the Chicago Cubs. No, they're on the Cleveland Indians in this game. The general public is on the Chicago Cubs. The Indians are the underdog. They're also the analytical choice as well. The Reds against the Twins. The pros in this game are on the Twins as well as the analytics. And finally, the Dodgers against the Padres. It's a late game at 10 o'clock. They're on the Dodgers as well as the analytics are concerned. So in all 3 games for tonight, the pros and the analytical numbers all seem to point to the three underdogs in today's games, which is really not unusual because generally the pros do lean towards the underdogs. They are generally contrarians, but they will bet on favorites if they think there's some value in betting on that particular favorite. So those are the three games for tonight. Once again, thank you very much for listening. We'll be back again tomorrow, once again at 12 noon Eastern Time, right here on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network, along with most of your major podcast platforms as well. So it's Monday, start of a new week. I hope you have a pleasant day today. And if you're going to do any betting today, I hope you have a profitable day as well. So once again, until tomorrow, we'll be back at 12 noon right here in Charlotte, North Carolina, coming to you live on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network. So it's Monday. Like I said, it's the beginning of the week. Not much going on today. No NBA games, no National Hockey League games. Baseball is the king, and we talked about those games as well. So have a good day, and more so than that, have a profitable day as well. So until tomorrow at 12 noon, I'm Chris Pardo. Thanks for listening. We'll be back again tomorrow on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network. Goodbye, everybody.